All right. So like we told you before we went on that short break, when you talk about International Youth Day, you talk about the contributions of young people to the society. And in Nigeria in particular, where we have a larger percentage of young people making up the population, their interest in all policy-making sessions must be considered.
And then you also look at the fact that what is trending in Nigeria currently is the 2023 general elections. Everybody is talking about the elections. Yes, some people will say 2023 general elections, Anambra State, yes, we're also part of that general elections because you're going to talk about our State House of Assembly and the entire legislative position. So the question today is the youths, celebrating the youths. What are the roles of the youths? How can the youth participate in this huge decision that is about to be made in Nigeria?
Yes, and that is our point of discussion this morning on the Weekend Show this morning. We have two young people, also leaders of youths in Anambra State, to discuss this very important topic this morning. I have with me Surveyor Emeka Obi. He is the chairman, Anambra State chapter of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. He's here with us. Good morning and welcome to the studio.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And then we also have Mr. Emeka Rapuluchukwu. He said we can call him Rap for sure. Rap for short. He's the Zonal Director, Directorate of Democratic and Good Governance. You're welcome to the Weekend Show.
Good morning. The pleasure's mine.
Good. So, David,
yes,
should I start?
Let's kick it off. Let's begin with a general assessment of the participation so far, because the 2023 elections is certainly next year, but the process that will take us to that date has already started with the primary elections and what have you. What will be your general assessment of the participation of the youth so far, considering the fact that this is merely 4 years after the federal government, President Muhammad Buhari signed into law the Not Too Young to Run Act? So how would you assess the participation? Do you think that, yes, young people's narrative have changed or is changing?
Well, as regard to that, to the question, the youth are ready, and they are ready and well prepared to take over the leadership mantle in the country and in the state. We have been mobilizing ourselves, talking to each other on the way forward on how we can make this, take back our country. Nigeria, the country belongs to all of us, and if looking at it, the youth constitute the larger population of persons in this country. So they should be involved in decision making. They should be carried along properly. They should be brought to a limelight where they can say their mind, take decisions that concerns them. You know, in everything that is happening in this country, it depends on who is at the leadership affair. Just if you witness in our dear state, Anambra State, our dear governor, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, is getting the youth involved. And as regard to the general election, we are very, very ready. We are very, very prepared. We are talking to each other right now. We are holding a lot of conferences as regard what the outcome of 2023 will be. And believe me, we will get there.
Okay, so, when you actually emerged as the state chairman of NYCN, I was a bit happy. Not like I know you personally, but I was a bit happy, and I know a lot of people felt the same kind of emotion, in the sense that we've noticed that when you talk about youth, you talk about leadership positions, we get to see old people who will tell you I'm youth at heart. If you noticed that,
Yes,
David.
yes.
So most times when you talk about this person is a youth leader, you're looking at somebody that you know doesn't really, okay, let me not, because now when it comes to age, it's personal.
Yeah.
So let me not say it's not really a youth, but doesn't look like a youth. And the person will tell you, I'm a youth. We have a lot of positions that I've noticed. So when you emerged, I felt like, okay, I think we're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. Now, why did I make reference to that? I made reference to that to ask, when we're talking about the youth now, you said that the governor is trying to gather the youth. Youth people are also making making plans and also taking decisions on how to make sure that the youths participate. My question is, which youths are we talking about? Youths at heart or youths by age? I would like to know why I asked this question is because a lot of times the youths will tell you that they don't feel involved because their positions are already been taken by older people. So I'd like to know, are we still working with the youth at heart or now we're actually dealing with the youths?
Well, going back to what actually transpired in our election, we have a lot of youth at heart
Okay.
that contested with us, but our guideline, there is a all clause to ensure that the NYSCN election, that it must be a youth that will emerge. Okay. So our ELECO and CPC, they did a wonderful job, and by the grace of God, the youth emerged because we were screened thoroughly via age, first school living certificate, date of birth, no affidavits and all these things that will bring in an older person to the scene. When we are, I think we are very, very ready, as I always say, because I've been interacting with major stakeholders of the youth. And we are still ready and we are preparing to mobilize ourselves with the trending narrative that is not going to be a money politics any longer. Okay. So we are looking for our youth around in Anambra who are contesting for various positions, and we are going to mobilize massively for them and give them our support.
So, sorry, David, sorry to cut you short. I'd like to hear from your own perspective because now when I talk about good governance, I guess you guys are the monitors there. So now I'm looking at youths, being youths or youths at heart. When we talk about youth participation, especially in good governance, vying for position, maybe by appointments, or even coming out mobilization, from your perspective, will you say the youths, this time around, not youths at heart, are they still sleeping or are they up for their positions? Because most of their positions, like I just stated, are being held by youths at heart. Will you say that our youths are ready for 2023, or are we still going to be dealing with youths at heart?
All right, thank you. A number of issues. I'll tell you that youths, when we say youths, people who are youths in the real sense in terms of age bracket, are much more forthcoming now than they used to be. I give you a very lucid example. Only recently, the voter registration exercise was conducted by INEC, right? And then it was concluded recently, right? And we were told that about between 10 to 12 million new registrants, came in on board. And out of that, you have over between 6 and 8 million persons who are in the age bracket of 18 to 34. What that tells you is that there is an increase in the participation of the youths. Then you look around too. You take a survey of persons who have emerged as candidates, in various political parties, and you would agree with me that there is a great element of youth involvement in this. But of course, we do know that going by the role money plays in the politics of our country, it will take some time, all right, to have youths in the sense which you speak about to come out and have the wherewithal to engage in the process. But we are getting there. Good enough, the social media, we are in the social media era, right? And then that has done a great deal in, reforming our political electoral process, on account of which younger people are beginning to gain the consciousness that their roles in the political process is very, very critical if we must change the narrative, on account of which that understanding which is being promoted via social media is being brought on ground. All right, so there is increased political consciousness, and our youths are more willing and more desirous of coming out to participate in the process, both as voters and as candidates.
Now, talking about voters and candidates, very important. Looking at what we have on ground, if you look at the mobilization, if you look at the argument on social media and the engagement, you discover it is youth-led. But however, I want to look at it from the dimension of whether this youth-led engagement is structured. Because when you talk about several people talking about the same issue, but not having the same structure, not having the same direction, it might also come out at the end to produce an ineffective result. Now, as NYSCN, as someone who is involved in democracy and good governance, how do you think that the engagement of young people can be structured to play a better role in these elections?
All right, thank you. No, that is very crucial. I agree with you. There has been the notion that this increased youth involvement in the process only exists, on social media. But I tell you what, that it is not true. We have seen various marches on the ground. People have conducted rallies and what have you, for and against, okay? And they are made up largely of youths. However, I would agree to the point that because before now, for some reasons, there was this deep-seated political apathy generally, okay, on account of which not many were involved in the activities of political parties, okay. However, for some months, that trend has changed, okay. There is increased consciousness, there is increased willingness by the youths to get involved in the process, on account of which they are coming out to do one thing or the other. Over time, you would have these youths actually getting involved as members of political parties and what have you, okay, so that their effects can be better, their impact can be better, felt. So I would not agree that it is a social media, stuff. It goes beyond that. I have spoken to youths. I have encouraged them to get involved in political parties. Don't forget that today we are having to deal with a number of candidates. Whether or not we like them, we will have to choose from them. This is because we have over time maintained a sense of lethargy, a sense of apathy towards the activities of political parties. So now, one of our responsibilities, one of the things we do, is that we are encouraging the youth to get involved in political parties so that they will also participate in the selection of candidates, so that they can also become candidates in the process, and not just wait for candidates to emerge and they go vote. All right. So it is work in progress. It is not going to happen, overnight. Over time, we are going to see progressive changes in our system with increased involvement of the youth.
All right.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions, especially pertaining the fact that we already know that the country is not smiling, and I'm talking about the economy. Times are hard. SAPA is everywhere, and most times this SAPA is affected by. Yes, thank you. So SAPA is everywhere, and JAPA seems like the way out. Yes. So, the pressure. Financial pressure is mostly on the youths, because when the father starts getting a bit weaker, the child is looked upon to take care of the family. Now we're talking about political times, and we know political times is a time of... And now you, Surveyor Emeka, you're saying, it's not going to be a time of vote buying. We saw what happened in, I think it was first Ekiti State. People were happy they really sold their votes. But I think Osun State was a bit different.
Changed a little bit.
Osun changed the narrative a little bit. People were rejecting money. My question is, apart from just preaching to these youths and saying don't collect money in election, what else are you doing to ensure that by that day of election, we have less youths we have more youths off the streets? Because I would not lie, if you are broke and you have nothing to eat at the end of the day, and somebody offers you money,
you certainly collect.
You certainly collect, because you're not certainly. I'm just saying, calm down.
No, okay,
I'm saying, if that is your only means of survival, you will want to feed your stomach. So how are you trying to see that at the end of the day, these youths are fed, so they don't go out there to want to sell off their destinies like that? That's my question. Are you just going to be preaching, don't buy vote, buy votes, or is there a plan to actually equip these youths not to buy votes?
In our own parts, as a youth leader, we have plans for the youth, and the state government is also have a lot of plans for the youth in equipping them, in empowering them. We have a lot of programs for the youth that will ensure that we take them off the streets, and we have lots and lots of plans for the youth to ensure that the youth of Anambra is being empowered. We have ICT programs, we have agro programs, which we are partnering with the state government. We have also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Commissioner for Agriculture on youth involvement. We want to integrate youth into agro-business in various agro businesses. So, and lots more. And when it comes to election and vote buying, sometimes I see it that those persons that collect money actually know who they want to vote. But you know, party A, party B always give tip, maybe a thank you package for whoever that is voting for them. They will vote for whoever they want and collect those stuff. But coming to what we are doing, we are going round and we'll keep going round when the election is by the corner to ensure that we change the narrative.
All right, before we go on a short break, I want to ask you, Emeka, you tend to argue that someone can be poor or hungry and still not collect money to vote for.
And then you die of hunger.
How do we get that mindset? Because for some of us, although it's not scientifically proven, we might hold the opinion that once you're hungry, you collect money.
Yeah.
So how do you sustain that integrity for someone who you're presenting money to and saying, no, I want to vote my country?
And for a society that believes that everybody has a prize.
All right, thank you. We need not go far.
Okay.
In the last election, gubernatorial election in Anambra State, we saw that play out. It's on video, it's everywhere, where a woman was being offered money to vote for a certain party, and she said no. She was actually celebrated, even by the then governor of Anambra State. So if she could do it, so many other persons can. That is not to say that 100% of persons who are poor, would not take money. But there is a certain degree of persons who would still say no, that they want to do the right thing. But then let's not make this mistake. There are rich people who collect money to vote.
That's true, very true.
Okay, so it is not restricted to just poor persons who are hungry. So it is about integrity. It is about the knowledge of the implications of what you do. It is that knowledge that we are bringing, of course, coupled with what the other programs which my chairman has mentioned, which we try to get involved in to empower the youths economically. But even these are not going to yield results immediately. However, the only thing that can change this trajectory is that people understand the implications of what they are doing. If I know that, okay, I'm hungry today, and then you're giving me 3,000 naira, and then I get it from you and then vote for you, but then the policies you're going to implement will make me go hungry for the next 4 years. I would rather choose to go hungry for now, all right, and then do the right thing.
All right.
That is the consciousness we are bringing.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Oge is on the street for us, where she spoke to several people on this particular issue. Let's hear the voices from the streets on Street Waka. When we come back, the discussion will continue right here in the studio.
Involvement of Nigerian youth in the upcoming 2023 election has been a topic of conversation in every lives across the country. Welcome to another edition of Street Waka segment on ABS Television. Today we are here to find out from the residents what they think or their perception regarding to youth participation in the 2023 election. I am Ogechukwu Azubike. Let's go to the streets and find out.
It would be nice if more room is being given to the youths. You can't keep telling an 80-year-old man to keep pushing a vehicle When you say you're pushing a vehicle, you don't just push it, or yeah, let's go. Using an elderly one, he'll just be like, oh yeah, let's just push this thing to this point. But a young person would like to think outside the box, other things that one can do to get these things right and start this vehicle. So I feel it's nice. Truth is, the system, from the way it's been designed, I think they've designed it for themselves and would never want the youth to come in, because they know them coming in will expose their loopholes. You see, to an extent, even the elderly ones that are clamoring that it's theirs, like Jagaban saying it's his turn. If you give him that position, are you sure he'll do better than what he's doing or what others have done? So I think we should give the youth a chance.
Never accommodate. They will participate now. Because no one will future hope. But in Yakana, again, we changes in Nigeria. And then now, I'm going to youth. After I hear youth, then they can perform. No Colombia, Banya Bang, even the Chagado. Macaw future hope.
It's time for the youth to be fully involved in the politics of Nigeria. From what I'm saying now, the youth are awake. They are now ready to exercise their rights and come out en masse on the day of election and vote for their preferred candidate. The only thing I think the federal government should do is create more awareness. I must really thank the federal government because they have been trying. During the time of PVC registration, the time elapsed and they were able to extend it. So all those things are the things that help the youth in being more conscious of their electoral rights and their obligation as a citizen. For example, I am ready. I'm more than ready to come out that day and vote.
India tolai no isi nye ha gap through allo youth na and ndị elder tuta wete na allo ko elab no so ndị elder sense ndị elder ka an use ma ndị nke youth ife ya adoma.
We can see that the residents are in full support, in fact, excited about the youth participation in the 2023 upcoming general election. They think that it's a step forward for the Nigerian political structure. We've come to the end of Street Talker segment on ABS television. Remember, my name is Ogechukwu Azubike. Let us go back to the studio to Oluchi and David.
On that brief.
Yes, we were talking about 2023 elections and youth participation. And Oge talked to several people across the streets in Awka to understand the pulse of the people in the involvement of young people in the 2023 elections, ahead of the 2023 elections.
Yes, before we went on the break, I said I had a lot of questions. And my question now is, I did mention that a lot of youths, David, I think you drew attention to the fact that people are saying that all these youths' reawakenness is just on social media. And I think the reason people are saying that is because it's not about talking, we'll vote for this person, or talking, this is the right candidate. Do we really have the PVC? Now, if we have the PVC, are we really going to come out? Yes, because I know during elections, there are some people that will tell you, I think there was a time some people said, sometimes during election, you see people playing football. Yeah. Sometimes during election, you see people indoors. So my question is, in as much as the youth, like you said, there was a huge turnout to get the PVC, how can we make them come out with that PVC? Because a lot of them might even not know where they placed it. And a lot of them might even not come out that day. Because I think like there's this kind of demon that is always out during elections. Somebody will just come from nowhere and say, you know what, that day is Ofe Mwano Day, that day is Ofe Salah Day, that day don't come out. How are we going to prevent this? How can we ensure that the statistics we're seeing that registered for PVC, that's the statistic we'll be seeing during the polls? And then secondly, another question is, as youth leaders now, how are you ensuring, because we've been hearing rumors of not everybody that registered will definitely get their PVC by then. What's your role to ensure that everybody that registered at least gets their permanent voter card? So we will now be talking about using it. Okay. Both of you can please.
All right, let me take it this way. That like the biblical mene mene tekel euphasin, it is crystal clear. It is crystal clear that we are in a dire situation in this country. Everybody feels it. You know, Sakpa is real. And then Jakpa has become the end thing. But how many of us can Jakpa actually? Very few. Very few. So we have no option but to work towards changing the situation for the better. And we can only do this by way of political involvement. We are pushing forward this message so that I don't want to believe that the over 6 to 8 million youths between the ages of 18 and 34 who registered for this exercise would want to dump it, you know, and go play music somewhere. I don't want to believe so. In the face of going by the reality that stares us in our faces, okay, that is not going to happen. However, what we shall continue to do is to continue to drive this information. So we will do our bit. And then on the other hand, with the introduction of the beavers, very soon we shall begin to push forward this information too. With the introduction of the beavers, things have changed. I give you an example. I voted in the last Anambra gubernatorial election without my PVC. Without my PVC. I applied for a reissuance, okay, because it was defaced. I applied for a reissuance. By the time INEC said they had sent these things, I went there, they said mine was not returned. It wasn't only mine, several others too, okay? But I could vote. That is what the beavers does. The beavers captures your data, your face, everything about you. So that once you get there and place your thumb on the beavers, okay, all these pop up and you can vote. Okay? So it is good that people have registered. And I hear that INEC has, supplied some of these cards, has begun to supply these cards. Okay, so people should go get them. But it is possible that not all of them will arrive. Okay, I want to believe that, like in my own case where I was able to vote, people will be able to, and I have had the opportunity to speak to INEC officials who also confirmed that once people are registered and captured by the beavers, that they will vote. So people could lose their PVCs, the cards, between now and then. I pray they don't, but you could have such situations. They can still vote regardless.
All right, finally, yes.
To that, formerly, people have this misconception that their vote doesn't count. And you see them on the day of election, they declare the offense salad day, whatever that you just said. But now, the electoral amendment, they feel more secure that their vote is going to count. And I believe people turn up massively and come and vote on the day of the election. It's not going to be business as usual. The issue we had in rigging processes and all that, they will be reduced, they will be managed. And towards the election, I know NYCN is going to create a lot of electoral awareness, even to the grassroots and to the rural area. I believe people are going to come out massively and vote whoever they want, because we felt that these crooks of politicians have disappointed us, and the country is on a rescue mission. We need a better candidate. We need somebody who is very prepared, somebody who knows how to revive this country. If we can imagine the exchange rate and all that, things we could buy for a few million is now going in the market for tens of millions. So we are people are very, very frustrated with the way things are being going on in the country, with the way our economy is being managed, with a series of issues. You know, a lot of story that you can only tell that to a baby. So that is it.
All right. Maybe on a later date we will look into multiferocity of youth organizations and how this can also affect your participation in 2020 elections, but due to time, we'll end at this point now. Thank you very much, Sovere Mekobi, the chairman, Anambra State chapter of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. And also Emeka Rao, two Emekas in the house. Yes, he is the Zonal Director, Directorate of Democratic and Good Governance. We've been discussing 2023 elections and youth participation, especially in Nigeria at this time.
Well, like you've heard it from our guests, it's time we take the bull by the horn. We come out, make a decision that will change our country, Nigeria, if not forever, but at least for the next 4 years. Thanks for being part of the discussion segment. Right now, we'll move over to our breakfast desk to bring you our breakfast news this morning.